What is up, guys? My name is Nash and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be going over two of the hardest finance classes in college, and these are classes that I took before, so I'm not just saying anything random. So I had to take these classes, and this is obviously my opinion, and I did have friends that thought these were the easiest classes that they had to take, and I also had a lot of friends that thought these were the most challenging classes that they had to take. Before I even get into this video, let me know if you're a finance major and you're taking classes. Let me know what you think is the hardest classes that you took so far or you're taking. And yeah, I just kind of like want to see what people think is hard for them. Yeah, and also make sure to go ahead and hit the like button, because this is about to be a great video. I think, maybe, who knows. But pretty much the first one is going to be international finance or international finance. So this was an interesting class that I signed up for. I think it was my spring semester of my junior year. I signed up for this class because I wanted to learn. I had taken a lot of finance classes, and I wanted to to learn about how finances affect different countries. Typically when you learn about finance, it's based on, if you're learning about stocks, it's going to be companies in the US. It's going to be based in the US. So when you go to international finance, you have the opportunity to learn about, the finances in other countries, stuff like that. So that's kind of like what I wanted to, learn. So I signed up for the class. So the professor, he was going really fast. I was like, what, this is fine. I'll catch on. And there was a lot of formulas. One thing I did notice was that it was similar to economics. Specifically macroeconomics, because it's the same concept, but they just focus on different things of macroeconomics. Yeah, so I definitely did not expect this class to be hard, because I was like, oh, this is like economics. I could study the day before the exam. So I think we had about 7 homeworks and 3 exams. So those are the things that made up your entire grade for the class, right? So if you messed up on an exam, you had to make sure that you passed the next one, or if you fail the next one, you're gonna fail the class. And I had a strict professor who didn't pass anyone who wasn't willing to do the work. Alright, so I didn't study as much as I needed to for a while, and then the first exam came around, and the professor was nice enough to let us write down the formulas on a piece of paper, and you could bring that to the exam. And I was like, what could go wrong? We have pretty much the answers, because everything was tied to a formula. So if you have the formulas, and you just gotta know how to use the formula, right? So I open the exam and I look at the problems that that were in the exam, and I'm like, what is this? And then I try to figure it out, and then I find the exact formula, but the formulas looked something like this. So when you have formulas like this, you have to learn the formula first. You have to learn how to use it. So it's not just you have to plug in this number here, this number here. You have to understand what makes up the formula, because you're going to be confused. So that's how I was. I was very confused. Even though I had all the answers, I was super confused. I did not know how to use the formulas. Then I realized I should have studied the formulas. So I finished the exam, I turned it in, and then we get the exam back. I think it was a week later. Guess what I got? Go ahead and put it in the comment section below right now. Guess what I got? Alright, so I got a 10 points for the exam, and those 10 points were for my name. So he was literally giving extra credit for writing your name on the exam, which was 10 points, and those are the only points that I got. So I pretty much got a 0 on the exam. This is a class that only has 7 homeworks and 3 exams. So I already knew that I had messed up. So I went ahead and dropped the class. I was like, this is not for me. I'm not taking this class again. So moving on to my last semester of college, I had to take another finance class, and the only class that was available at the time was the same international finance class with the same professor. So, I was like, what could go wrong? I already know how the exams are set up. I already know how the homeworks are set up. I just need to study more. So I signed up for the class again. So this time, I'll just spoil it for you. I passed the class. That's how I graduated. But pretty much the only thing that made the class challenging or hard was because of the formulas. And it's not just the formulas, it's the fact that you have to actually learn the formula. You have to understand what each symbol in the formula means, because you're learning how to calculate, exchange rates, by hand. You're learning how to calculate things like the interest rate parity. But my solution to this, if you're taking this class, you have to put in the extra time in learning the actual formulas. You have to understand the formula in and out. So that would be my only recommendation for this class, and that's how I passed it the second time. I actually took the time to learn these formulas. Alright, so moving on to the second and last one, which was risk management. So this was an introduction to risk management, since I was not a risk management major. So you get to take the introduction class, which is pretty much like the actual thing, but you just do less work. But so this class was probably I would say the most challenging, but international finance was at the top. So they're kind of like on the same level, honestly. To basically sum up this class, you learn how to identify problems and how to measure the problems and how to mitigate the problems, which is pretty much like solving the risk or the problem. So the risk being the problem. So that's pretty much how the entire class works. And to do this, you have to utilize a lot of formulas, because, how do you measure risk? Sometimes you need a formula, you need statistics. So that's when, those classes that you took earlier come into play. So if you never paid attention in classes like, your statistics classes, like me, I never paid attention. And now I'm taking this class where I'm expected to measure risk using, statistics, and I'm like, what is going on? But that's what made it hard for me. So that's what made it hard for me. Just like the previous class, you have to understand the formulas. There are so many formulas that come with these classes. And I know that a financial calculator will help you calculate things like time value of money, net present value, stuff like that. But these formulas, you cannot just simply plug them into the calculator. You have to understand where to plug what, where to put what. But pretty much with this class, I'll just go over one of the biggest assignments that we did. That was about 60% of the grade, which was a paper, which could be as long as you want. And I think mine was about 25 pages. So because of Corona, the class actually got easier because we actually didn't have to, memorize these formulas because we're going to be learning from home. So you can simply cheat. So what we had to do was actually write papers for that class. And one of the biggest papers that we wrote was, so I'll just describe the paper for you. So what we had to do was pick a bank. So I went ahead and picked Bank of America. After you had your favorite bank, you can go to their website and look for the annual report. And basically what you had to do with this annual report was read the entire thing, which is usually like 700, 800, 1,000 pages, depending on how big the bank is. And we had to write a paper pretty much going over, how they defined their risk, which is pretty much like credit risk. I can't think of anything on the top of my head right now, but you look for the different types of risk that they have, and you look at how they are identifying those risks, and you also look at how they're measuring the risk. So that's when those statistics skills come into play. You're looking at, sample sizes, and stuff like that people do in statistics. So you look at how the bank is actually measuring all the risks that they have. And when you identify that, you kind of like explain it. Okay, they're measuring this, they're measuring credit risk because of this, and that. And when you do that, you have to also read how they're solving that risk. They might say something like, because we had a lot of people that defaulted on their credit cards, we're gonna try to limit who gets this credit card or who gets, this credit increase, stuff like that. So you kind of like had to look at that, and then after everything was done, you have to do your analysis, which was pretty much saying if you agree with how they're mitigating their risk or solving the risk that they're facing. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. The only hard thing about this class was you actually had to understand the different types of risk that come with, banks, and how to actually measure the risk and how to fix it. And that is pretty much it for the second hardest class. I think, like I said before, I think these are like on the same level. They required a lot of extra time actually learning stuff. These were the most challenging classes that I had in finance. And also I learned so much from these classes by, having to push myself to, learn outside of class and, just take the extra time, losing a couple hours of sleep just to learn more. But yeah, so I did pass these classes. That's how I graduated. But that's pretty much it. I want you to let me know what you think is the hardest class that you're taking or the hardest class that you took. And yeah, so let me know in the comment section below. And also make sure to go ahead and follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. The link is in the description below, and you can also see it on the screen here, somewhere on the screen. And also make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.